Okay, so this time our topic is ethical and social issues in information system. So after completing this module, you are expected to answer the following questions. Number one, what political, social, and ethical challenges are brought up by information system? What specific conduct rules can be utilized to direct moral choices? Why do the internet and modern information system technology make it harder to safeguard people's privacy and intellectual property? And what effects have information system had on a daily life? Undoubtedly, the past 10 years have been among the most ethically difficult for American and international industry. A short selection of recent instances showing poor ethical judgment on the part of senior and middle managers. And these ethical and business judgment errors happen in a variety of different industries. Because managers who break the law and are found guilty will most certainly serve time in prisons in today's modern legal system. In other country, federal judges now must impose harsh sentences on business executive under their federal sentencing guidelines based on their crimes' financial value, the existence of conspiracy to prevent its discovery, the use of structural financial transaction to conceal the crime, and failure to cooperate with prosecutors. And businesses are now urged to work with prosecutors to lower penalties against the entire company for impeding investigations, even if in the past they would frequently pay for the legal defense of their personnel involved in civil lawsuits and criminal investigation. And due to this development, it is now more important than ever for you to define what constitutes correct legal and ethical behavior as managers or employee. And to give us more details about the topic, let us all welcome our presenter.
Hello everyone. So chapter 4 is about ethical and social issues in information system. We have 4 learning objectives for this chapter. So first one is what ethical, social, and political issues are raised by information system. Second is what specific principles for conduct can be used to guide ethical decisions. The third one is why do contemporary information systems, technology, and the internet pose challenges to the protection of individual privacy and intellectual property? And lastly is how have information systems affected everyday life? Understanding ethical and social issues related to system. So we have here some examples of failed ethical judgment in business. Lehman Brothers, Mineral Management Service, and Pfizer. In many, information systems used to vary decisions from public scrutiny. So what is ethics? It is a principle of right and wrong that individuals, acting as free moral agents, use to make choices to guide their behaviors. Information systems raise new ethical questions for both individuals and societies because they created opportunities for intense social change and thus threaten existing distribution of power, money, right, and obligation. Figure 4.1, the relationship between ethical, social, and political issues in an information society. The introduction of new information technology has a ripple effect, raising new ethical, social, and political issues that must be dealt with on the individual, social, and political levels. These issues have 5 moral dimensions: information rights and obligation, property rights and obligations, system quality, quality of life, and accountability and control. Let's discuss the 5 moral dimensions of the information age. The major ethical, social, and political issues raised by information system includes the following moral dimensions. First, information rights and obligation. What information rights do individuals and organizations possess with respect to themselves? What can they protect? Second, property rights and obligation. How will traditional intellectual property rights be protected in a digital society in which tracing and accounting for ownership are difficult and ignoring such property rights is so easy? The third one, accountability and control. Who can and will be held accountable and liable for the harm done to individual and collective information and property rights? The fourth one is system quality. What standards of data and system quality should we demand to protect individuals' rights and the safety of society? And lastly, quality of life. What values should be preserved in an information and knowledge-based society? Which institutions should we protect for violation? Which cultural values and practices are supported by the new information technology? Key technology trends that raise ethical issues. Doubling of computer power. More organizations depend on computer systems for critical operations. Rapidly declining data storage costs. Organizations can easily maintain detailed databases on individuals. Networking advances and the internet. Copying data from one location to another and accessing personal data from remote locations is much easier. Lastly, advances in data analysis technique. Companies can analyze vast quantities of data gathered on individuals. The first one is profiling, combining data from multiple sources to create dossiers of detailed information on individuals. Second, non-obvious relationship awareness or NORA, combining data from multiple sources to find obscure hidden connections that might help in identify criminals or terrorists. Figure 4.2. NORA technology can take information about people from disparate sources and find obscure, non-obvious relationship. It might discover, for example, that an applicant for a job at a casino shares a telephone number with a known criminal and issues an alert to the hiring manager. We have four basic concepts for ethical analysis. First is responsibility. Is a key element of ethical actions. Responsibility means that you accept the potential cost, duties, and obligations for the decisions you make. Second is accountability. Is a feature of system and social institutions. It means that the mechanisms are in place to determine who took responsible action and who is responsible. System and institution in which it is impossible to find out who took what actions are inherently incapable of ethical analysis or ethical actions. The third one is liability. Extends the concept of responsibility further to the area of laws. Liability is a feature of political system in which a body of laws is in place that permits individuals to recover the damages done to them by other actors, systems, or organizations. And lastly, due process is a system-related feature of law-governed societies and is a process in which laws are known and understood, and there is an ability to appeal to higher authorities to ensure that the laws are applied correctly. We have 5 steps in ethical analysis. The first one is identify and describe clearly the facts. Find out who did what to whom and where, when, and how. Second is define the conflict or dilemma and identify the higher order values involved. Ethical, social, and political issues always referred to higher values. The parties to a dispute all claims to be pursuing higher value. The third one, identify the stakeholders. Every ethical, social, and political issues have stakeholders. Fourth one, identify the options that you can reasonably take. You may find that none of the options satisfy all the interests involved, but some options do a better job than others. And lastly, identify the potential consequences of your options. Some options may be ethically correct but disastrous from other point of views. Once your analysis is complete, what ethical principles or rules should you use to make a decision? We have 6 ethical principles. The first one is golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Second, Immanuel Kant categorical imperative. If an action is not right for everyone to take, it is not right for anyone. The third one, Descartes' rule of change. If an action cannot be taken repeatedly, it is not right to take at all. The fourth one, utilitarian principle. Take the action that achieves the higher or greater value. The fifth, risk aversion principle. Take the action that produces the least harm or least potential cost. And lastly, ethical rule or no free lunch. Assume that virtually all tangible and intangible objects are owned by someone unless there is a specific declaration otherwise. Professional code of conduct. When groups of people claim to be professionals, they take on special rights and obligations because of their special claims to knowledge, wisdom, and respect. Professional code of conduct are promulgated by associations of professionals such as American Medical Association, the American Bar Association, the Association of Information Technology Professionals, and the Association for Computing Machinery. These professional groups take responsibility for the partial regulation of their professions by determining the entrance qualifications and competence. Real-world ethical dilemmas. One set of interests pitted against another. Example, right of company to maximize productivity of workers versus workers' right to use internet for short personal tasks.
Hello everyone, I'm Clifford Agimatang. I'm going to discuss about moral dimensions of information system. As we may know, everyone is subject to digital and other high-tech forms of surveillance. Information technology and systems threaten the claims of individuals to privacy by making the invasion of privacy cheap, profitable, and effective. To protect US citizens, the government set boundaries in the accessing one's privacy in areas such as education, financial records, news records, as well as electronic and digital communication. The Privacy Act of 1974 has been the most important law to protect their privacy by regulating the federal government, collection and use, as well as disclosure of these informations. We have 5 fair information practice principles. The first is the awareness, which refers to the fact that the person providing information must be made aware of exact who the information is going to and what it will be used for. Consent gives consumers the right to decide how their information is used, while access is the principle also conveys their right to contest the information that they believe is inaccurate and have the opportunity to change it. Security refers to the integrity and security of all data. Enforcement are the rules surrounding fair information practices. There are 3. Self-regulatory regimes. This type of regulation could be carried out at the discretion of the entity itself. Privatization would typically give the consumer the right to compensation if they become victim of unfair information practices. Government regulation is the exercise within specific industries For example, banking industries, there are information privacy protocols. While using internet, individual faces threat against privacy. There are files and softwares targeting one's information, like computer cookies, or the small files often including unique identifiers that web servers send to browsers. Then the cookies then can be sent back to the server each time your browser requests a new page. It's a way for a website to remember you, your preferences, and your habits online. Webbag or beacons is a file that plays on a web page or in an email message to monitor users' behavior. Spyware is the software that enables a user to obtain information about another's computer activities by transmitting data converted from their hard drive. The Platform for Private Preference Project, or P3P, enables websites to express their privacy practices in a standard format that can be retrieved automatically and interpreted easily by the user agents. P3P user agents will allow users to be informed of site practices and to automate decision-making based on these practices when appropriate. Thus user need not read the privacy policy at every site they visit. Intellectual property is any product of human intellect that the law protects from unauthorized use by others. There are three main ways that protect intellectual property. The first is a trade secret, intellectual work or product belonging to business not in the public domain. Copyright, grant protecting intellectual property from being copied from the life of the author plus 70 years. Patents, grant creators of invention an exclusive monopoly of the ideas behind invention for 20 years. Accountability, liability, control. Computer-related liability problems. If a software fails, who is responsible? If seen as part of a machine that injures or harms, software producer and operator may be liable. If seen as similar to book, the author or publisher is responsible. What is an acceptable, technologically feasible level of system quality? Technical feasibility evaluates the technical complexity of a system and often involves determining whether the system can be implemented with the state-of-the-art techniques and tools. There are three principal sources of poor system performance: software bugs or errors, hardware or the facility failures, poor input data quality. There are negative social consequences of systems. In balancing the power, although computing power is decentralized, key decision-making remains centralized. The rapid of change. Businesses may not have enough time to respond to the global competition. Maintaining boundaries. The internet use lengthened workdays, which infringes the family and personal time. Dependence and vulnerability. Public and private organizations are more dependent on computer systems. Computers as an object or instrument of crimes is another negative consequence of information system. While in employment, the re-engineering of works result to job loss. In accessibility, there are certain ethnic and income groups who are less likely to have computers or internet access. In using information system, there are also risks. in health, like hand carpal tunnel syndrome, computer vision syndrome, repetitive strain injury or RSI, which is caused by repeated use of body parts such as your shoulder, elbow, forearm, wrist, or hand. Technostress, or one's inability to cope with the technology that can cause or result distress. And lastly, exposure to radiation or low-level electromagnetic fields.
That's all for our report for chapter.
Okay.
Thank you po.
Okay, thank you very much. No? Again, this topic is very crucial, no? Especially in information technology, no? And in management information system specifically. No, because a while ago, no, our presenter mentioned about unethical, social, and political issues raised by information system. No? Again, information technology is introducing changes, no, for which laws and rules of acceptable conduct have not yet been developed. Increasing computer power, no, storage, and network capabilities, including the internet, expand the reach, no, of individual and organizational actions and magnify their impacts. The ease and anonymity with which information is now communicated, copied, and manipulated in online environments pose new challenges to the protection of privacy and intellectual property. And of course, the main ethical, social, and political issues raised by information systems center around information's rights and obligations, property rights and obligations, accountability and control, system quality, and quality of life. Now, what specific principles, no, for conduct can be used to guide ethical decisions? We have 6 ethical principles for judging conduct, include the Golden Rule, Immanuel Kant's categorical imperative, Descartes' rules of change, the utilitarian principle, the risk aversion principle, and the ethical no pre-lunch rule. So, and these principles should be used in conjunction with an ethical analysis. Another is, why do contemporary information systems, technology, and the internet pose challenge to the protection of individual privacy and intellectual property? Contemporary data storage, no, and data analysis technology enables companies to easily gather personal data about individuals from many different sources and analyze this data to create detailed electronic profiles about individuals and their behaviors. Because data flowing over the internet can be monitored at many points. We are always encountered, no, cookies and other web monitoring tools closely track the activities of website visitors. And not all websites have strong privacy protection policies, and they do not always allow for informed consent regarding the use of personal information. Traditional copyright laws are insufficient to protect against software piracy because digital material can be copied so easily and transmitted to many different locations simultaneously over the internet. Now, the last question that I wanted to address is, how many information systems affected everyday life? Although computer systems have been sources of efficiency and wealth, they have some negative impacts because computer errors can cause serious harm to individuals and organizations. Even poor data quality is also responsible for disruption and losses of for businesses. No, job can be lost when computers replace workers or tasks become unnecessary in re-engineered business processes. So the ability to own and use a computer may be exacerbating socioeconomic disparities among different racial groups and social classes. Again, widespread use of computers increases opportunities for computer crime and computer abuse because computer can also create health problems such as RSI, computer vision syndrome, and technostress. Okay, so I think that's it for chapter 4.